Hello and welcome to King County at your service. I'm Enrique Cerna. We're here at Cary Park with a beautiful view of Seattle's skyline. Of course, there are many high-rise buildings here, but imagine what it would be like to have to rescue someone from a high-rise after a disaster. Kimberly Hill tells us about a new rescue platform designed to do just that.
The Columbia Center, the tallest skyscraper in Seattle. Imagine having to get a rescue team in 70 stories up. How about inserting a tactical team onto a moving ferry? Sound tricky? Well, now there's a new tool designed for just that. It's called an AirTep.
Airborne Tactical Insertion Platform. It's a platform that hangs underneath the helicopter. Kind of looks like an upside-down umbrella that everybody steps on and secures themselves into.
Secured in as the AirTep hangs from a helicopter by a 100-foot rope. The goal? To get as many people in or out of a scene as quickly as possible.
Anywhere up to 10 people at a time into a rooftop, into the water, into a place where maybe just rescuers can't even get to.
Designed in France, manufactured in Virginia, there are only about a half dozen AirTeps in the entire country.
But Seattle Fire Department is the only fire agency in the country that has an AirTep. And our use of it is primarily we're using it for high-rise insertion of firefighters, rescue of victims off of high-rise buildings, earthquakes, where we can access remote locations. And now what this exercise is demonstrating is our use for waterborne operations, inserting rescue swimmers.
Guardian 2 is placing and recovering teams of highly trained rescue swimmers on the lake.
It's difficult to do over water because you get away from shoreline, you start losing your references. Farther out in the water you get, the more difficult it becomes.
Where could this scenario play out?
An example would be an aircraft that went down in Elliott Bay. The boats could easily be picking up people on the wing or in the water outside of the plane. But what would happen if I still have passengers seat-belted in? I need to get rescue swimmers to get into that aircraft and rescue those viable victims that are in those survivable spaces.
The AirTep is available to emergency response teams in the region thanks to a Homeland Security grant.
Without that tool, we had no option. With this tool, in a worst-case scenario, we now have options.
It's known as the happiest day in the King County Courthouse, a day when dozens of foster kids are legally united with their families forever. John Yeager has the story of one family's journey to National Adoption Day.
Welcome to the King County Courthouse. All too often, courtrooms like this are the backdrop to the bitterest of human conflicts that need the legal system to find justice, to find resolution.
Attorneys, adoption workers.
Superior Court Judge Dean Lum has seen more than his share of human conflict in the 15 years he's worked in these chambers. But while the courthouse is where this story ends,
what is it, Leah?
it is not what it's about.
Yay, Leah!
It's about families like John and Connie Bergmans.
I'm Connie. This is Leah, Riley,
John.
and Emma.
And how they fill their normal week. John and Connie are proud foster parents. Sure, they have 3 biological children, Crystal, Elliot, and Tyler. See their pictures there on the wall? But these are the children who keep them busy now.
As soon as that child walks in the door, they become part of our family. So whatever we're doing at that particular time, they're included in.
Do you like this bubble I picked out?
I do. Many times kids that come in from care just don't have any structure whatsoever. So we quickly get them into our routine of normal bedtime, 8 o'clock, same time for dinner, those kinds of things. So what was the question? She's got me all distracted.
The Bergmans have been providing foster care for 4 years now.
But yet this is normal.
Connie works downtown. John's self-employed, a stay-at-home dad.
There you go.
The couple's house
Oh, here he is.
isn't really that big. Connie Bergman just wants to give these kids a safe haven. Leah and Emma were born addicted to drugs. Emma had a family member drop her off at daycare and never pick her up. Connie and John are like thousands of foster families across the state, but we need more of them, according to foster care experts.
The children are invisible.
And when we do see foster children, Morse says, we don't like what we see.
There was a study done by Harrison Interactive, and it revealed that across the country, 45% of Americans think that children are in foster care because of something that they did.
Morse says on any given day in this state, some 10,000 children are not living with their biological family. Now, back to the courthouse. Remember, we said this is where the story ends. Today, Judge Lum is in King County's presiding courtroom, the backdrop for National Adoption Day. Judge Lum presides over Adoption Day every year. The staff works hard to make it one big party with games and food for kids and their families. But more importantly, it's when dozens of foster parents legally adopt their foster kids, including the Bergmans, who are making it official with Leah, Riley, and Emma.
So we have 3 kids.
Judge Lum knows you can never tell the difference you can make if you provide foster care and a loving home for a child in need. He still has this old newspaper clipping of when he became a U.S. citizen when he was just 4 years old. His foster parents adopted him from Hong Kong.
I was 9 months old when I was brought here. Of course, I don't remember much about that proceeding, but I remember everybody was really nice.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
It was one of the happiest days of his life, a day like this one, when dozens of kids who just need a safe haven are given something that lasts a lifetime because they're given love.
You want the whole thing?
Before we left, John Bergman told us he'd be a foster parent as long as he and Connie had a house big enough. Don't believe him. John and Connie Bergman have never really had a house big enough, but each of them has a heart with plenty of room. For King County at your service, I'm John Yeager.
Whether it's over the phone, online, or even at your doorstep, con artists are coming up with new and devious ways to steal your identity. But now there's a new way to fight back. Charlie Hinckley tells us about a statewide campaign called Scam Jam.
How much money did you lose?
$300,000.
At least $40,000.
Then I sent $2,000. Then I sent $3,000.
You got money, I got a way to take it from you.
No one expects to be the victim of a scam, but everyone should be on the alert because fraud is a billion-dollar industry. Most people don't see it coming.
You know, a lot of people assume that victims of investment fraud are frail or gullible or isolated, that they're very trusting and that they believe. It's true that cons use persuasion to earn the trust of their targets, but they use persuasion to do so much more. So it's really a pretty complex psychological event that's going on.
If you tell me that you're a veteran of World War II, well, great, sir, I'm a veteran of Desert Storm. You know, we've got something in common. So you always look for an angle with the victim to legitimize what you're doing and to make yourself more believable.
It takes awareness to say no to scams, and that's the focus of AARP's new Fraud Watch Network.
This is kind of like Block Watch in that we're encouraging people to not only get training, but to take this information out to their neighbors and share it with them. We're also encouraging people to sign up for a network, an email network, where law enforcement will send out alerts periodically to them.
Although anyone can be a victim of fraud, older adults are often targeted. They've worked a lifetime, so they may have money. They tend to want to help people, and they're new to the internet.
So you really have to be careful with trust on the internet. That's hard.
At a recent launch event for the Fraud Watch Network, seniors gathered at Seattle's Museum of Flight to learn what to watch out for and how to say no to scams.
I talked about 4 scams this morning. The sweetheart scam, where you meet somebody on the internet that's not going to be a friend. The valuables scam, where somebody tries to sell you something that's valuable for cash and it really isn't. The ask for information scam that we hear so much about. Don't give up your personal information. And the person that's claims to be a relative that's had some misfortune and they're not really a relative. Stop, hang up, talk to somebody else that you can trust before you respond to any of these.
What I'm going to really focus on today is sort of getting inside the mind of the con man himself or herself.
Persuasion is the strongest tool used by con artists. If you don't know what's happening, it's hard to resist.
The crush or the kill is emotionally driven. It's not logic. If you apply logic to this concept, it's no. I'm not going to send you my hard-earned money. I don't even know who you are. I know you from Adam. When I wrap that in tons of emotion, that blurs. The logic goes out the window, the emotion kicks in. Now I've endeared you to me. Now I'm no longer the predator on the phone. I'm Jim from New York.
So it's important to remember, persuasion is all around us. What you need to do is step out, get back into your logical brain, ask questions, and delay making a decision.
To protect against this kind of fraud, find out if the salesperson is actually registered to sell securities. FINRA BrokerCheck is a source for that information. Check to see if the product being sold is registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. And if you spot a scam, report it.
Many of the cases that we bring, consumer protection cases we bring, are the direct result of phone calls that come from consumers.
Hello, my name is Ann and I'm calling from the AARP Scam Jam.
People who sign up with the Fraud Alert Network receive alerts about scams, and they'll be asked to report anything suspicious to AARP's Fraud Fighter Call Center.
Oh, hi Susan, my name's Bob Ferguson. I'm your Attorney General here in Washington State. How are you today? Good. Hey, sorry to bother you, but just want to call because I'm part of a volunteer group. And what we're doing is calling out to seniors around the state just to make sure they watch out for scams and people call them up on the phone.
The goal is to make Washington State and King County the hardest place in the country to defraud consumers.
It doesn't cost any money to do this. We're not going to send people any solicitations. The only thing they're really going to get are alerts, just like a block watch alert. That's really what this is about. That's the big idea.
Thank you very much. We had a lovely day.
Callers can contact AARP's Fraud Watch Network toll-free at 1-800-646-2283 or aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Many low-income homeowners struggle with repair bills. Here's a story about a county program that helps fix pipes, mend roofs, and make homes more accessible. As Kimberly Hill tells us, in many ways, it's changing lives.
It's the sound of summer. Jackhammers and backhoes working on construction projects. In this quiet Issaquah neighborhood, a King County crew is solving a big problem for homeowners Bud and Lorraine Cochran.
We had a septic system and a drain field out here, but it failed. And when it failed, you got to hook up to the city.
Connecting to the city's sewer system can cost thousands of dollars, money the Cochrans would have had to take out of savings, something they didn't want to do.
No, because we don't know what's going to happen down the road that we might need it.
A phone call to King County's housing repair program took care of the problem. The program helps county residents with low or moderate incomes maintain their homes. Projects include new roofs, furnaces, plumbing, and more. King County uses funding provided by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. Homeowners provide financial information, and qualification is based on income. They receive no interest loans with no payments due until the house is sold.
Go ahead and pay for it when something happens and you sell the house, which at 91, that's not going to be that long, far away.
A lot of our clients are senior citizens or widowers that their house has fallen in disrepair, and this program helps them maintain their house so that they can stay in it longer.
Since 1978, the program has served thousands of people throughout King County. Margaret writes, "Thanks for all your good work. It's so comforting knowing I have reliable heat." Colleen writes, "Just a quick note to let you know how grateful I am. My new roof is great." And Renee writes, "Thank you for giving my family hope. If it wasn't for you and this great program, this house would not be a home much longer."
It's a real gratifying job to have and a service that we can provide the citizens of King County.
For Bud and Lorraine, it's a service that provides peace of mind. They're looking forward to spending many more years in their home together. For more information, call 206-263-9095 or visit us online at kingcounty.gov/housing repair.
There are many people that believe that art can be healing. Jeff Gentis takes us on a tour of one of the largest collections of healing art in the country. It's here in King County at Harborview Medical Center.
Artist Akio Takamori creates colorful ceramic figures that inspire drama and whimsy. Like every artist, he wants you to stop and think when you see his work, and in some cases, he wants you to heal.
People come from all different kind of social class or kind of cultural background. I wanted to have something like a really straightforward message, something everybody will get. So I, picked the word LOVE.
Takamori is one of dozens of artists who have contributed work to Seattle's Harborview Hospital as part of its massive healing arts program, a collection of over 400 artworks managed by King County's For Culture office.
I think warmth is probably the word that works the most for me, and when I'm looking at art and I think about a patient's space, I think about warmth.
I saw this sculpture and I immediately fell in love with it. It's so inviting and friendly, and it shows the loyalty that we have here at Harborview for our patients. I just felt like it just was the right piece of art here to show we're here to help you, and we're always going to be here to help you, just like your loyal dog.
From exterior treatments to walls that are alive with art, Harborview's healing arts are part of a public art master plan that's been in motion for over 10 years.
The whole time I was working on this project, my mother was dying. So I had spent a lot of time in and out of hospitals right before I started working on the Harborview plan. And I realized that the physical environment that I was in really made a difference to how my mother felt and how positive she was, and also to how I felt as a family member.
Nanda D'Agostino is the art plan's lead visionary.
One of the most striking things that I discovered in my research, contact with the natural world was really the most significant thing that would make a difference in patients' outcomes. A painting, a landscape painting, even something that was abstracted from nature. And it really made a difference for people in their ability to handle stress. Light became another important strand in the conceptual plan. The beauty of light and artworks that used light.
One of the best uses of light is a ceiling installation called Tree of Life.
It's a quilt, it's an integration of different cultures and different groups, but it also brings in a scientific element, which is hemoglobin molecules. And there's something a little bit different about when I walk through this hall, when it's just kind of is that one little extra reminder of take your time, really listen, and really try to learn something from a patient. And art can bring that out of us.
Many of the healing art pieces are architecturally integrated, and in some cases, you may not even know you're walking on a masterpiece.
I'm standing on top of Lunar Rhythmic Revolution. It's comprised of roughly 700 stone moon forms, and that's broken up into the 12 different bands that correspond to our calendar year. It was very much a painting, laying it all out. And then when you step back, you don't see those specifics. So I like the fact that you can get very close to it, and it takes on a different meaning than if you just step back and see it from a very broad vantage point. This project takes something and breaks it down into these increments, which is about encouraging people that larger transitional changes happen incrementally. Each step along the way of healing is a part of the path to this bigger, larger healing process.
The staff and patients at Harborview are a very diverse population, and the art is designed to celebrate that very fact.
The art at Harborview is part of our culture. It demonstrates to all those who walk in here that we care a lot about the facility and we'll care about you too.
The art in all of its different variations and manifestations really does speak to a real connection with the humanity of what so many people are experiencing.
Love to garden and work in your yard, but don't want to use pesticides? Well, we've got an online tool for you. As Rick Van Cise tells us, it's all about growing smart and growing safe.
You want a luscious lawn and robust plants, but how do you grow them safely with garden products that won't harm you and your family? Now, that answer is as quick as a click to this new website from King County.
Because a lot of times people care about the environment and they care about places where their kids and their pets play. So it's great to have a resource that you can use to make sure you're making the safest choices possible.
That new resource is the Grow Smart, Grow Safe website. It's an online tool to help you make safe decisions about the garden chemicals and pesticide products you're buying.
When I end up in the store in the pesticide aisle, it's completely overwhelming. There's tons of products, lots of choices. It's hard to tell them apart. There's a lot of information there on the labels, but it's small print, it's difficult to read and difficult to understand. And if you're trying to make comparisons between one thing and another, it's a hard thing to do in the store.
Working with garden experts here and in Thurston County and Portland, King County looked at chemical content of hundreds of products being sold in Washington and Oregon to compile an easy online guide.
And Grow Smart, Grow Safe is a list of products that is ranked from the safer things at the top to things that might have more environmental or health concerns near the bottom of the list.
A smartphone app will allow you to take the list right to the store. But what if you don't want to use any chemicals? Can you still garden successfully in the Northwest?
It's always safest to garden without pesticides, and so Grow Smart, Grow Safe also has a lot of tips and resources for using natural yard care, pesticide-free gardening, soil building, tons of resources that can help you just go out into the world and know you can garden without using pesticides at all.
Check out this great new online gardening tool, growsmartgrowsafe.org from King County, always at your service.
Thanks for joining us for King County at your service. I'm Enrique Cerna. We'll see you next time.